Jai Gurudev, so what happens when such people are invited respectfully, but then they try to create conflict or disrespect the host's tradition or puja? Jai Gurudev, yes, that reveals their ignorance, not our weakness. In our culture, we say Atiti Devo Bhava. A guest is divine, but if a guest comes to insult your home, your culture, your prayers, that guest lacks the basic decency our scriptures speak of. As in the story we discussed, the host maintained humility, saying, why debate with someone who reads glossaries like parrots but doesn't feel the essence? Gurudev says that not everyone deserves a response. Sometimes you have to smile and say, yes, brother, you are the most learned, and move on. Silence is the face of ego, is not weakness. It's wisdom, it protects the sanctity of sadhana. How would you respond to those who say that going around the Kaaba is different from going around a Shivalinga, or that reverence isn't worship? That's another form of denial rooted in duality. If you respect something, revere it, encircle it with devotion, that is worship. Whether you call it tawaf or parikrama, the spirit is the same, but ego wants separation. As Gurudev says, forms are many, truth is one. If someone says, we just walk around it but we don't worship, we ask, why walk around it 7 times with such devotion then? Respect is a form of puja. When you say, we do not worship, yet you show immense reverence, you are splitting hairs or arguments' sake. True seekers go beyond words to essence, and essence is unity. In conclusion, how can people of high academic stature truly benefit from these ancient practices? They must step down from the pedestal of pride and enter the temple of humility. The mind that's full of degrees may be empty of viveka or discrimination. Gurudev says, empty your cup, start with Sudarshan Kriya, observe silence, join Padmasada and participate in Seva, attend Homas, do Trikal Sandhya, and chant during Satsang. These are not rituals, they are subtle sciences. One professor told us after the happiness program, I had published 50 papers, but I have never felt peace. One Kriya changed that. That's the power of spiritual intelligence. It's not about knowing more, it's about being more. Jai Gurudev, so some scholars and intellectuals say they are spiritual but not religious and thus reject pujas, homas, and rituals. How do you address this conflict? It's a misunderstanding rooted in a superficial view of spirituality. Gurudev explains it beautifully. Rituals, when done with awareness, are not mechanical, they become a doorway to the subtle. Pujas, homas, and Trikal Sandhya are not about religion, they are about rhythm, energy, and honoring divinity in form and formlessness. Those who claim they are spiritual but not religious often shy away from practices that demand devotion, patience, and silence. But without these, how will Sanyam sadhana of level 1 and level 2 blossom? When they finally experience a homa with mantras chanted by Vedic scholars, their inner being awakens. It's not about religion, it's deep cosmic science. Could you share a real life example of a scholar transformed by these practices? Absolutely. A renowned professor from a top US university once mocked Sudarshan Kriya as just heavy breathing, but he attended an Art of Living advanced meditation program out of curiosity. By day 2, he was silent, but by day 4, tears were flowing. He admitted, I have written books on consciousness, but never felt it like this. Now he practices Padma Sadhana, participates in Trikal Sandhya, and joins our Seva drives. He recently told us true intelligence is not in how many citations your paper gets, but in how still your mind is. This is transformation from noisy intellect to deep inner peace. How do these spiritual tools help dissolve arrogance and resistance, especially among those with influence and followers? When you experience Sudarshan Kriya, something shifts. The breath cleanses not just stress but arrogance. Padma sadhana aligns body and mind. Satsang melts resistance through devotion. When one performs seva, ego dissolves. These tools are like fire; they burn impurities. Gurudev often says, "Your true nature is love, not logic." Even the most argumentative minds, after doing Sanyam sadhana of level 1 and level 2 or attending a Trikal Sandhya Puja, become quiet and humble. That's the miracle. You don't need to argue with them. You just let them experience. Not number of YouTube debates or Twitter followers can give the silence that one deep meditation gives. What about His Holiness Gurudev Shri Ravi Shankarji say, and what does he say about true intelligence? Gurudev says that true intelligence is that which leads to peace, love, and joy, not agitation, arrogance, or conflict. A PhD who is restless, aggressive, or disrespectful is just an educated person, not an intelligent one. Through Sudarshan Kriya, Homas, Trikal Sandhya, Seva, and Sanyam Sadhana of level 1 and level 2, Gurudev has brought wisdom from the Vedas in a form people can practice in daily life. Intelligence is not how many facts you know, it's how gracefully you live. When you wake up and do Padma Sadhana, breathe deeply, chant, meditate, and serve, intelligence radiates from you even if you say little. What about what would you say to a professor or PhD who feels spiritually empty but intellectually proud? We would say, come experience, don't analyze from the outside. Knowledge on paper is like a salt water, it can't quench your thirst. But the moment you sit for Sudarshan Kriya, feel the silence in Sanyam Sadhana of level 1 and level 2. Witness the flames of a Homa, offer a flower in Trikal Sandhya, or serve food in Seva. You begin to truly live. Gurudev invites people to move from Gyan to Vigyan, from theoretical knowledge to experiential wisdom. One meditation can do what 100 intellectual debates cannot. Drop the pride, take a breath, close your eyes, and let the transformation begin. How does the concept of a Trikal Sandhya connect to expanding inner awareness in such individuals? Trikal Sandhya is not just a ritual, it's a deep alignment of the self with time, nature, and the divine. Professors and influencers are often stuck in the past of regret or future or ambition. Trikal Sandhya brings the mind to the present by honoring all three times of past, present, and future with gratitude and devotion. When such people begin this practice along with Padma Sadhana, Sudarshan Kriya, and Shakti Kriya, they start feeling balanced. Gurudev says time is sacred. If you align with time, you align with the divine. Even those with thousands of followers say, I feel peace for the first time. What do you think intellectuals often feel, and why do you think they feel a void despite worldly success? And how do art of living practices fill that void? The void comes from living one only in the head. Gurudev says, you are not just logic, you are love, you are life. PhDs, professors, and influencers live in theories, analytics, and constant validation. But there is no pause. Practices like Sudarshan Kriya, meditation, Padma Sadhana, and Sanyam Sadhana of level 1 and level 2 create that sacred pause. That's where the heart opens. Satsang brings joy, Seva brings connection, while Trikal Sandhya brings gratitude, and Homas purify impressions. Then that void disappears not because something external is added, but because the inner being is uncovered. Intelligence then becomes luminous, peaceful, and useful, not noisy or arrogant. What transformation happens when these individuals perform Seva regularly? Seva or selfless service is the most humbling and transformative practice. Professors who once lectured for hours now wash vessels in silence, distribute food with smiles, or guide children in village schools. Seva destroys pride, creates joy, and builds real community. Gurudev often says, if you don't know how to serve, your knowledge is of little use. When this is combined with Padma Sadhana, Sudarshan Kriya, Trikal Sandhya, and Pujas, even their breath starts radiating peace. We have seen people with the global recognition find meaning only after they start doing seva. That is real wisdom, not what is stored in books, but what is lived with love. And how do pujas and homas refine intellect beyond the rational mind? Pujas and homas work on subtle layers of existence. When fire, mantras, intention, and silence meet, something beyond logic is activated. Gurudev explains this scientifically. Sound vibrations restructure energy patterns in the brain and environment. Intellectuals are often shocked when, after a homa or a padma sadhana, they feel lightness and clarity they couldn't achieve through years of thinking. Their minds, once agitated, become calm. Their opinions soften when they add Sudarshan Kriya meditation and Shakti Kriya. It becomes a full inner cleansing. Wisdom starts flowing not from ego but from silence. That's what makes an intelligent person truly wise. Could you speak about the role of Sanyam sadhana of level 1 and level 2 in stabilizing their newfound peace? Yes, Sanyam sadhana of level 1 and level 2 is a rare gem. It's where the mind is trained to rest not in laziness but in alert stillness. Intellectuals often have racing minds even in sleep. They are planning or analyzing. Sanyam sadhana of level 1 and level 2 rewires the inner mechanism. Combined with Trikal Sandhya, Sudarshan Kriya, and Seva, it brings steadiness. Many professors told us we finally feel content. Gurudev says only in silence does creativity blossom. With Sanyam Sadhana of level 1 and level 2, the knowledge they carry becomes compassionate, refined, and joyful, not heavy or burdensome. And that is the highest form of intelligence when peace becomes your nature. What makes Shakti Kriya especially beneficial for those stuck in the loop of overthinking? Yes, Shakti Kriya is one of the most potent techniques given by Gurudev. It clears the pranic blockages that cause mental noise and emotional confusion. Intellectuals, professors, PhDs, YouTubers with large followings often live in a loop of thinking, analyzing, and comparing. Shakti Kriya done with the proper gratitude breaks this loop. It energizes without agitation, grounds without dullness. When people combine it with Padma Sadhana, Sudarshan Kriya, Sanyam Sadhana of level 1 and level 2, and Pujas and Trikal Sandhya, they enter a state of alert silence. That's the womb of creativity. That's where real intelligence awakens, not from calculation, but from deep intuitive stillness. Many scholars speak well but suffer internally. How does satsang help resolve this inner conflict? Yes, satsang is a bridge from head to heart. Scholars may speak eloquently, but their hearts ache with loneliness, anxiety, or unresolved desires. Satsang, the company of truth and singing divine names, opens a new dimension. Gurudev says music and mantra meld the intellect and reveal the self. When these people do satsang after Sudarshan Kriya, meditation, seva, padma sadhana, and homas, their inner walls dissolve. The laughter becomes real, the tears become sacred. Slowly they feel at home in themselves. That's intelligence, not just understanding complex theories, but being free from inner noise and outer mass. How does Padma Sadhana uniquely restore balance for intellectuals with highly active nervous systems? Padma Sadhana is a graceful and powerful yoga sequence designed by Gurudev to harmonize the five elements in the body. Intellectuals live in their heads, their nervous systems are overstimulated, their bodies often neglected. Padma Sadhana gently brings breath, movement, and awareness together. Combined with Sudarshan Kriya, meditation, Trikal Sandhya, and pujas, it creates deep inner alignment. Many university professors have told us this practice made us feel whole again. Their focus improves, emotional reactivity drops, and joy returns. That is true intelligence to feel connected with your body, breath, mind, and soul. What happens when such individuals regularly perform Trikal Sandhya alongside their academic or public careers? Trikal Sandhya aligns the inner being with the rhythm of the cosmos. When professors, researchers, or influencers start this sacred practice 3 times a day with mantra, silence, and gratitude, it tunes their intellect with intuition. Their work becomes more ethical, more insightful, combined with Sudarshan Kriya, Padma Sadhana, Homa, Seva, and Sanyam Sadhana of level 1 and level 2. Trikal Sandhya purifies the energy field. Their audience feels it, their students absorb it, their words carry vibration. Gurudev says spiritual practices are like polishing the mirror of the soul. When they polish daily, the brilliance is authentic, not just borrowed knowledge. In closing, what would you say to PhDs, professors, and influencers who are hesitant to explore these practices? We say, come and experience. You have read, taught, spoken, and succeeded. But have you truly been at peace? Gurudev says, knowledge is a burden if it doesn't bring joy and peace. Practices like Sudarshan Kriya, Padma Sadhana, Shakti Kriya, and Sanyam Sadhana of level 1 and level 2, and Trikal Sandhya, Seva, Pujas, Homas, and Satsang are experiential. They don't ask for belief, they invite participation. Once you taste the silence within, you will see that intelligence is not accumulation, it's illumination. Thousands have found not just peace, but purpose. This is not a rejection of intellect, it's refinement. This is where knowledge becomes wisdom and life becomes a celebration. Can you share an example where someone with a PhD or a large academic following transformed through art of living practices? Absolutely, we have met professors who had immense knowledge but suffered from stress and confusion. One PhD scholar, after practicing Sudarshan Kriya, Padma Sadhana, and participating in satsang, reported a profound shift. His restless mind calmed, creativity surged, and he developed emotional resilience. He said, I was intelligent but not wise. Now I am both. Such transformations prove that intellectual prowess alone doesn't guarantee peace or clarity. Gurudev's techniques build the foundation where intellect meets intuition, enabling holistic growth. How do pujas and homas fit into the journey of intellectual individuals seeking peace? Yes, pujas and homas might seem ritualistic, but they are deeply scientific practices that purify the environment and the mind. For intellectuals who often get caught in logic and debate, these sacred fire ceremonies create a subtle vibrations that cleanse mental clutter and emotional blockages. When combined with daily pranayama and meditation, pujas and homas accelerate the journey to inner clarity. They align the subtle energies, making the mind receptive and peaceful, which enhances both learning and teaching capabilities. What role does seva or selfless service play in developing true intelligence and humility? Seva is the ultimate practice to break ego and foster empathy. Intellectuals may have knowledge and followers, but without humility, their intelligence remains limited. Through seva, one learns to give without expectation, to serve without judgment. Gurudev emphasizes that true intelligence reflects in kindness and compassion. When scholars engage in seva alongside Sudarshan Kriya and Satsang, they reconnect with their universal self, realizing that wisdom is not just mental but also heartful and practical. What is combining these spiritual practices important and rather than relying on just one? Each technique, Sudarshan Kriya, Padma Sadhana, Shakti Kriya, Trikal Sandhya, meditation, puja, Homa, Seva, Satsang, works on a different layer of the being physical, mental, emotional, and spiritual. Intellectuals often focus solely on mental aspects, but real intelligence requires holistic balance. For example, Sudarshan Kriya purifies breath and mind, and Padma Sadhana harmonizes the body. Satsang nourishes the soul, and Seva softens the heart. Combined, they create synergy. This synergy awakens profound peace and intelligence that no book or lecture alone can provide. What is the biggest misconception about intelligence that you want to clarify? The biggest misconception is that intelligence is only about knowledge or debating skills. Many PhDs, professors, and influencers mistake memorizing facts or winning arguments as true intelligence. But Gurudev teaches us that intelligence is clarity, peace, and the ability to respond wisely in any situation. It's not about proving who is right or wrong in endless debates, but about living harmoniously with self and others. This is why so many highly educated individuals still suffer stress and confusion. They lack wisdom, which these spiritual practices help cultivate. How can intellectuals integrate the teachings of His Holiness Gurudev Shri Shri Ravi Shankar Ji into their busy academic or professional lives? Integration begins with simple daily routines, even in the busiest schedules. Dedicating a few minutes to Sudarshan Kriya and Pranayama can reset the mind and reduce stress. Attending regular satsangs and engaging in seva foster a supportive community and a sense of purpose beyond personal achievements. Gurudev says wisdom encourages balance, valuing both outer knowledge and inner silence. Over time, these practices transform the way intellectuals approach challenges, leading to creative problem solving and deeper fulfillment without compromising professional commitments. Can you explain how Trikal Sandhya and Shakti Kriya specifically help in enhancing intelligence and peace? Yes, Trikal Sandhya is a disciplined practice of prayer and meditation at the three junctions of the day, morning, noon, and evening, which aligns one's energies with the natural rhythm of life. This cultivates mental clarity and emotional stability. Shakti Kriya energizes the body and awakens latent spiritual power. For intellectuals, these practices break monotony, refresh the mind, and deepen concentration. Together, they support sustained intellectual performance and foster an inner sanctuary of peace amidst external pressures. What role does Padma Sadhana play in balancing intellect and intuition? Padma Sadhana is a profound meditation practice that channels energy through the chakras, especially the heart and crown centers. For scholars and thinkers who rely heavily on left brain analytical thinking, Padma Sadhana activates the right brain faculties, intuition, creativity, and compassion. This balance is crucial because true intelligence merges knowledge with insight. Through Padma Sadhana, individuals experience moments of silence where answers arise effortlessly beyond logical reasoning, fostering both wisdom and peace. How does the culture of respectful dialogue in satsang contrast with typical academic debates? Academic debates often focus on winning arguments, sometimes overlooking respect and openness. In satsang, dialogue is grounded in humility and listening. Here, diverse views coexist without conflict because the aim is collective upliftment, not individual victory. Gurudev's teachings remind us that stubbornness limits growth. In satsang, even experts acknowledge their limitations, creating a safe space for genuine learning. This respectful culture nurtures not just intelligence but also emotional maturity and harmony. Finally, how would you summarize the essence of Gurudev's wisdom and art flowing tools for intellectuals struggling with peace and clarity? His Holiness Gurudev Shri Shri Ravi Shankar Ji's wisdom is a bridge between ancient knowledge and modern life, showing that true intelligence encompasses mind, heart, and spirit. Intellectuals, regardless of their degree or followers, often lack peace because they are disconnected from their inner selves. Tools like Sudarshan Kriya, meditation, pujas, and homas and seva harmonize all layers of being. They cultivate not just mental sharpness but also emotional resilience and spiritual insight, enabling scholars to live with intelligence, humility, and lasting peace. Jai Gurudev.